Hi, I'm Simon Kaiwai and I'm from New Zealand. I've been living in Bolivia for about 10 years, 6 years here in Mizque. Came here initially because of an interest in anthropology, indigenous societies, local direct democracy, and also in terms of what we produce here, I focus on heirloom vegetables, diverse, mainly to eat well for people that are here, and what I have a surplus of I either give away or trade or save seed for. I like to know where my water comes from and my food comes from. I wanted to know more than just know my neighbours, I wanted to actually be in a functioning community. When I bought it, it was highly compacted and with low growth weed, if anything, from the neighbours' cows just being on it for 5 or 6 years. Had nothing, literally nothing. And now, yeah, it has a good amount of infrastructure. I've done a lot of trials and errors, but we have some good systems for manejo de agua, like managing the water. A swale, permaculture swale, which has elevated the ground level of the water like about 1.5 meters on this property. We dug a well, and it has a lot of infrastructure, so it's got 2 cabanas now in my little house. So I'm happy with where we're at, and the next stage of learning for me is to go beyond just saving seed to actually producing food. So that's an exciting step for me. I used to receive volunteers, and that operation was like a zero cost operation. Was a cost recovery basis. I'd do tours, I'd offer some therapies, and that would pay for the food for the volunteers, and we'd advance that way. It was nice, it was social. I also produce organic fertilizers which are used in the area, used like collecting the organic waste from the market using the bokashi system, which I highly recommend, and another fertilizer which I make. So just off that I can survive, like the farm can run, can run. So you put any kind of organic waste in it, you don't have to separate the citrus or meat, and then you add effective microorganisms 1, which is actually quite easy to grow from scratch. And when this is full, it will produce 50 litres of high-grade phase 2 foliar fertilizer in a month, and that's enough to fertilize 25 hectares, 25,000 square meters of crops. So it makes a huge difference in terms of less chemical inputs, and the 4 studies that I've read on it show it increases yield like 30% from one application. So people can do this in their own gardens just using 2 buckets, you know, and they can do it all from scratch. So everyone should be doing this. In the future I also want to produce natural pesticide from rabbit urine, and integrate that can be a closed circle production, just running off the grass, the alfalfa that we grow here. And I also have retrained as a naturopath, so I do natural remedies like detoxifications and some cancer treatments. So that's what I do, a little bit of all of that. It's a very authentic community and culture here, and I think so Mizque offers a working example of how a community can work. It's a natural lifestyle, so you have to learn how to build, how to grow plant, how to cultivate, even how to deal with your neighbours. And then aside from that, it's a beautiful place. It has 3 rivers running into it, and quite a lot of nature. It has a lot of history here, Incan ruins, ceramics from that time, fossils from way back, which like turtles and crustaceans, which is interesting to find at 2,000 meters of altitude. Heaps of canyons, mountain bike trails, yeah, hiking, climbing. We did a trial with asparagus, and it's amazing here. It produces like every day for 6 months of a year. It really likes the amount of sun that we have here and seems to like the soils. All of this was made with, apart from the roof, recycled materials. The mud in the walls came from when we dug the well. These are just tree branches, and you see it's not very thick, the wall, but it's a technique called gincha. We also insulated the roof with bamboo and mud, so it stays really temperate inside. As a foreigner that came here, like the big challenge that I had initially was language. Like they speak Spanish and Quechua, and some of them prefer to speak Quechua versus Spanish. And so there's two systems operating in parallel here. There's the government state system, and then there's the sindicato. And you sort of have to learn how both work. And initially, yeah, I had my tensions with a neighbor, and a lot of it was lack of understanding, but also how to interact with the culture here. You can't get angry. Whoever gets angry first, even if you're right, sort of loses in the argument. So how to communicate, hold your ground, maintain your own respect as an owner of the land, a don, and also show equal respect to others. So that's the way it is. It's very respectful, and especially between landowners. Days we got locked down with the pandemic last year, that if someone needed food, we would give it to them. No one was going to be wanting. Yes, there's a good level of cooperation. Neighbours come across and help me. I'm still learning here. They just come in and help with what I'm doing, show me what I'm doing wrong, and likewise I return food or treatments. It's very cooperative and not so monetarily focused. A medium-term goal, probably in the next year or two, would be to elevate the production here so that it produces a lot more food and pays for someone out of that to help me do it. That's the next step also.